The Whisper Nest presents The Tortoise Who Carried the Sky. Once, not so long ago, but maybe also forever ago, a small tortoise walked across the warm earth, her sturdy feet pressing neat, round prints into the soft dust. She was old, older than the trees that shaded the path, older than the hills that rolled away into the distance, maybe even older than the story I'm telling you now. Her name was Bara, a name that sounded like the slow knock of a river stone against the shore. She carried her shell, smooth and rounded like a stone that had listened to the rain for 100 years. But she also carried something bigger. She carried the sky. Not the whole sky. That would be far too heavy, even for her strong tortoise legs. But the memory of it, the way it curved, blue and deep in the morning, the way clouds drifted like slow dreams. She carried those things inside her, like a quiet light tucked just behind her eyes. One morning, as the sun was just waking and the wind still smelled of night, Bara reached a patch of open ground. The grasses here were pale and dry. Stones lay warm in the first light of day. She paused, because tortoises always pause to notice. She looked down into a puddle, still from a recent rain. Clouds floated across its surface, rippling whenever a breeze passed over. It was as if the sky had left a little piece of itself behind for her to find. Nearby, a line of ants wound their way through the dust. They curved around a hot rock, never touching it, each one following the invisible scent of the one before. "The ants remember," Bara whispered, "just like I do." Bara lifted her head and sniffed the air. Sniff, sniff. "The water is that way," she murmured. But there was no stream in sight, no trickling sound. Only the whisper of wind through grass. Still, she turned her steps toward the scent. Tortoises don't need maps. They use the shape of the land, the smell of wet earth, the warmth of the sun. Scientists have found that some tortoises and turtles can even sense the pattern of polarized light waves arranged in a particular direction, that we humans can't see. They remember landmarks too, a bent tree, a boulder, the way the ground dips just before a hill. And sometimes, there are things no scientist can fully explain. Bara had a kind of memory that wasn't only hers. It was as if the land remembered through her. When she was still and the world was quiet, she could feel a pull, almost like a thread in her chest. It was the same kind of pull that birds feel when they turn south for the winter, or that salmon feel when they find their way back to the river where they were born. Some people call this field memory, a pattern that passes between living things, like an unspoken story everyone somehow knows. Others might call it a kind of listening that uses more than ears. Bara didn't call it anything. She simply followed it. She passed a swirl of dry leaves dancing in the wind. She saw a beetle pushing a piece of bark much larger than itself. She stopped at a smooth bark tree she had once dreamed about before ever seeing it. And sometimes she felt things that hadn't happened yet. Once she knew the rain would come before any cloud formed in the sky. Once she felt the ground hum with running hooves before a herd appeared. She even dreamed, now and then, of other animals' journeys. Not as words or pictures, exactly, but as feelings, like colors moving inside her. By late afternoon, the air grew thick and still. Even the birds quieted. Bara stopped beside a flat stone and lifted her head. There it was, that cool, clean scent. Rain. The first drop tapped her shell, then another. Soon the steady rhythm covered her back, a tiny drum chorus just for her. She tucked herself halfway into her shell, letting the water run over her, listening to its music. The sound of rain on her shell was her favorite song. It felt like the sky was saying, "I remember you." When the rain slowed, Bara opened her eyes. In front of her, a shallow pool had formed. It glimmered, holding a copy of the sky inside it. Frogs were already testing the edges, and the air smelled fresh and new. She stepped in slowly, first her feet, then her legs, then the cool touch rising along her shell. She drank. She rested. "I found you," she said softly. Or maybe the water said it to her. As the sun began to sink, the clouds stretched gold and pink across the horizon. Bara didn't just look at them, she felt them. The way the earth feels the pull of the moon. The way seeds know when to wake. "I carry it," she whispered. "The sky, the scent of rain, the dreams of the land." Because when you walk slowly enough, when you listen with more than your ears, you begin to feel how everything is connected. The ants, the clouds, the wind brushing your shell, the puddles, the stones, the stars, and the memory that is not yours alone, but belongs to all things. So if you ever see a tortoise moving slowly across the ground, don't rush her. She is not lost. She is listening. She is remembering. She is carrying the sky. Good night, Bara.